Hello, 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 hello. We should be live. Yeah, okay. We should be live. Hello. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to the coverage here. We have got the Austrian Grand Prix taking place, well, starting in 30 minutes' time. We've got FP1, FP2, FP3 this weekend, not a sprint weekend. We've got some rookies driving in the practice session today. And yeah, just overall an exciting weekend up ahead. So thanks everyone tuning in nice and early on in the stream is much appreciated. And yeah, up on the screen, this is the data from last year. Actually, let me take that back all the way to the start. There we go. Yeah, we'll get the data updating for 2026 soon enough. Yeah. Hello, folks. Yeah, so we've got quite a few upgrades actually this weekend as well. So a few teams bringing some big upgrade packages. I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of Ferrari bringing an engine upgrade. So Ferrari have supposedly got an extra 7 horsepower or so, which is exciting. We'll see if we'll see how much of an effect that does have. There are sort of two aspects and elements to that upgrade. So if you upgrade the internal combustion engine, you are essentially getting more horsepower out of the same internal combustion engine, which then means that your battery has got more potential energy to recover. So it could benefit Ferrari not only in the internal combustion engine side, but also in the battery side of things, which is, great all around for Ferrari. And it should be about an extra tenth or so of pace for them, yeah. Oh yeah, I should probably, I guess since nothing much is going on right now, I could just make this a bit bigger. Yeah, we have got a new background for the streams for the next couple months, given that I'm not at university anymore. The ice coat has been made mandatory by the FIA. Yes, we have got a extreme temperature warning in Austria. So as most of Europe right now, it is pretty hot, and the drivers will have their vests on essentially to allow for a bit more cooling, just allowing them to keep cool. So the air temperature right now in Austria is 32 degrees Celsius. We've got 0% chance of rain till Tuesday. So yeah, it's going to be a very warm weekend. In fact, 32 degrees is the maximum temperature of every day of Friday, Saturday and Sunday here in Austria. So that is yeah, that'll be something that the drivers will have to deal with, and also the cars will as well. We all know that extra heat doesn't really benefit the cars in terms of reliability. In fact, it has a detrimental effect. So what we'll be seeing is potentially more DNFs. One thing for certain, though, we will be seeing lots more cooling ducts on the cars. So lots more cooling will be put on to ensure that the cars don't overheat. Mercedes quite notably have had issues with overheating and just warm conditions and just reliability overall. So adding to the temperature problems is it's going to be a big one to see if Mercedes can fix their reliability problems. All right. What have we got going on in the chat? Is it service or ORF? It is service TV today, folks, for the broadcast. ORF was last week, or a while ago. If Stroll races really good in the rain, does that mean in the heat he'll probably DNF? Well, the Aston Martin have actually taken the most engine components out of any of the manufacturers, so it's pretty likely that Stroll will have another problem with his car and end up DNFing. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there. All right. Let's see, have we got the 2025 data? Unfortunately, not yet. Oh, sorry, we haven't got the 2026 data right now up on the screen. We've only got the 2025, and hence, we've got Sonoda and things like that up on the screen. Okay. What about Red Bull's reliability? Are they fine? They didn't bring any reliability upgrades, right? That is correct. So they haven't brought anything reliability-wise, but Red Bull have brought a big upgrade package. Now, this is, of course, their home race. The Red Bull Ring is the name of the racetrack. It's in Austria. And, well, Red Bull, for their home Grand Prix, have bought a very large suite of upgrades. In fact, what I will do is I will pop them up on the screen for you guys. And it will be, yeah, they'll be interesting to see. Right, here we go. Okay. So these are the upgrade documents. So this is McLaren, very small changes here, and this is mainly just for, you know, making sure the car doesn't overheat and a little bit of extra performance as well. So that's McLaren, with changes to their, you know, minor tweaks to the rear wing and rear duct. We've got Mercedes here with changes just to their front suspension, and again for their engine cover, a bit more cooling to allow for more cooling range fine tuning, so they can, you know, have less likely chance of DNFing. Then we've got Red Bull here. They've got a new side pod inlet, a new engine cover, a new floor, a new floorboard, a new rear suspension, more changes to their rear corner of the car, a new rear wing, and a revised exhaust tailpipe as well. So very big set of changes for Red Bull. And as you can see here, pretty much all of the car has been circled for the Red Bull team. So that is, well, quite the large amount of upgrades. We'll see if they perform. Of course, they've got three practice sessions to work out if they are benefiting the car and if they're making it faster. So that'll be what they're chasing after. We've got Ferrari here also with some changes to their front wing, their rear wing, their floor, and some and to the mirror attachment point. So a few other changes here for Ferrari, but the main thing for them is that they've got a engine upgrade, so an extra 7 horsepower supposedly is going to give them an extra tenth of a lap. Now, I don't know if that's taking into account the fact that your energy recovery will be better because you've got more energy input, so that maybe could have stretched it out to a tenth and a half. So we'll wait and see if Ferrari can deliver. Williams with no updates whatsoever. We have got Racing Bulls with small changes to their exhaust and diffuser, so nothing too major there for Racing Bulls. Aston Martin also no upgrades. We have got Haas with just, you know, some extra cooling stuff, you know, new front brake duct and some cooling louvres for their side pod. And then you have got Audi with a big set of upgrades here, so lots of changes all around the car, and mainly sort of focused at the rear, but yeah, lots of changes going on there for Audi. Same thing for Alpine. They've also got a reasonably big set of upgrades. Most of their stuff is at the front of the car. You've got Cadillac also with lots of upgrades, and in fact Cadillac there, you've got 10 upgrades for them, and that's just all around the car for Cadillac, so that'll be interesting to see if they perform significantly better. But that has been the upgrade, folks. So that's been, yeah, the upgrades that we've got for the Austrian Grand Prix weekend. And as you can see, just a quick review. Minor changes for McLaren and for Mercedes. Then we've got lots of upgrades for Red Bull. Lots of upgrades for Ferrari as well, given that the engine one isn't on this document. Nothing for Williams. Minor stuff for Racing Bulls. Nothing for Aston. Minor stuff for Haas. Big changes for Audi and for Alpine. And Cadillac as well. So that is the upgrade documents, folks. Yeah. Okie dokes. What about the Mercedes illegal diffuser? Yeah, Mercedes have reverted back to that, so the FIA have deemed that it is illegal. So that was Ferrari put in a bit of a thing saying, you know, oh, when we asked you about this like 3 months ago, you said it was illegal, and then Mercedes have gone and done the same thing, and now you've allowed it. And Ferrari put in a bit of I'm sure Ferrari put in a bit of work behind the scenes to say, you know, what's the difference between our design and their design. And I think the FIA have then gone back on their decision to say that Mercedes have to go back to the old version of the diffuser, and this is no longer allowed. So, yeah. F1 Gamer, have you been watching the World Cup? Yeah, I've been watching a few games. They're not at the best times here in the UK. Some of them, past midnight and 1 a.m. and things like that. But no, I've been watching them, and it's pretty good, to be fair. Quite exciting matches. All right, folks, we'll be getting the 2026 data loading up on the screen shortly. Right now, we've got the 2025 data, so I would not worry about that. Yeah, this is just standard stuff really for an FP1 session. The data doesn't come through about 10 minutes before the session starts. And it is Service TV that is broadcasting the practice sessions this weekend, folks. So Service TV is what you want to check out if you're using a VPN. All right. I thought Audi turned into Sauber again. Yeah. At F1 Gamer, is the Red Bull car still overweight? Look, I don't have the internal information of the Red Bull car, but look, I suspect, given that they brought a big upgrade package to the race here in Austria, there will be some further weight reduction things that get added in, right? Because all the stuff that gets presented in those documents is anything that can be seen externally. So something from the outside that you can notice that a change has been made, and that's what goes on the document. But inside, inside the chassis, let's say you can knock 500 grams off the chassis, then that is not going to go on the document. So typically how it goes, though, if you do have a big upgrade package, you'll have internal upgrades as well as external. So I suspect the Red Bull will have got lighter, but I have no information regarding is it still overweight or not. Yeah. The 2025 pole time was a 107, was it? I thought it was a 103. I mean, I checked this just moments earlier. Yeah, it's a 103. That was Lando Norris that set that lap time for pole position last year in 2025. At least that's what it says on Wikipedia. Yeah. All right. So what else is there to talk about? Well, the Austria racetrack, actually. In fact, let me take you around a lap of the circuit. Austria is quite the good racetrack, actually. In fact, one of my best racetracks on the F1 game. I don't know if this hot lap is one of my good laps, but let's go watch this. Right, okay, well, there you go. Coming out the final corner, very easy to spin, actually, as you get on the power there. This is the thing with Austria. The curbs are particularly harsh, so if you are heading towards any of these corners and you clip this inside sort of sausage curb, then, it creates very big problems for your traction later in the corner. So you've got to be very careful not to do that and, not spin like I've just done there. So it's a very simple circuit here in Austria, lots of high-speed corners and lots of long straights. So you make your way through the final corner here, run all the way out wide as much as you possibly can because, well, it's free lap time coming down the start-finish straight. Then in towards turn number 1, you're braking all over the curbs here because it widens your entry into the corner, and you've got track limits there on the exit, so you do have to be careful about not exceeding that. You then make your way up the hill towards turn number 2. This view doesn't really do it justice, but it is quite the big hill. So you're braking uphill, which helps. You can brake later, so probably about the 100-meter mark, maybe even 90 or 85. Smoothly on the power. Now you're going downhill, so you're going to brake a little bit earlier into this corner. And we've got also, straight mode sections all the way around the track, so that's very handy in keeping the speeds up. Now through the middle sector, you have got the first corner here where you're very much on the ragged edge, and then the second corner. This corner actually is so let's just go back through these two corners here, right? So here it's very easy to drift wide because the track is sort of off, so you're turning left but the track is sort of off camber a little bit, so it's quite easy to drift wide here. And again, track limits will be monitored on this part, and then on this part of the circuit it's tilted inward so you can carry a bit more speed through there. Again though, track limit extensions are very easy to come by here in Austria, and the same thing can be said for the final corners, right? You tap the brakes, flick the car in, and hope it sticks, essentially, because you are going through the penultimate corner blind there. So it's quite the tricky circuit and quite the short lap as well. So only a 1 minute lap, or just over that, which means that all of the gaps also are going to be very compressed. So you'll have, it's unlikely that we're going to have 5 seconds between the quickest and the slowest cars. It will be much more like, I don't know, two seconds, and then right at the top, at least, it will be, gaps of 1/10, 2/10, because the track is just so short. Ferrari will not use the new engine in FP1 and FP2. Well, fair enough. I have not seen that. I've not seen anything about when they were deciding to use it, so that does make sense, though, because an engine will have been dyno tested, right? They will have run thousands and thousands of kilometers and simulated mileage on a dyno to ensure that the engine works. So they've just got to make sure that once it gets in the car, it's properly integrated, you've got all the cooling, and then, they can go from there, essentially. So the less running and the less stress you put on your engine, the longer they're going to last. And reliability does seem to be an issue this season, so you want as few grid penalties as possible, and of course as little mileage as possible on these new engines that will have the upgraded power and also the fuel. So I think they're getting, I think it's around 5 horsepower that they're getting from the engine upgrades itself, and they're getting about 2 to 3 horsepower from the fuel. So I suspect they'll be using the new fuel in the car, but the new engine probably not. It's Service TV that is broadcasting it. Of course, it is the Austrian racetrack as well, so I'm sure they'll have some pretty good coverage this weekend. So Service TV is where you want to watch the broadcast today, folks. Easily one of the best circuits on the calendar. Yeah, for sure. I think the racing that we get here is pretty incredible. That's probably just the best way to put it. It is, albeit not the most complicated circuit, but because of its simplicity, you've got those big braking zones in towards turn number 2, in towards turn number 3. It lends itself to, well, some really good racing. Rodri Hughes, thanks for the donation. Will there be lots of lapped cars on Sunday? Well, probably. If there's no safety cars or anything like that, it is a very short lap. I think we'll be doing upwards of 70 laps of racing around here, which means the shorter the lap, the less time it takes for the lead car to catch up to the slowest car, and hence, the quicker that they're going to get lapped. So I suspect that is true. Yeah, we'll have a lot more cars getting lapped. We'll have quite a few cars probably being lapped twice if there's no safety cars or anything like that. But Austria does tend itself towards having a high chance of a safety car, just because of all of the chaos, the carnage that can take place. Right, you've got so many locations where you can, break your front wing, just leave it there on the circuit, and then they've got to deploy a safety car to clean up all the debris. All right, interesting to see them lifting it. Yeah, we'll see, which parts of circuits the drivers are lifting and coasting and things like that, because, given that it is a very high-speed circuit, the drivers spend a lot of time on throttle, so I suspect it will be upwards in the 70% range where the drivers will be on full throttle. That will stretch the battery very much to its limits. So does that mean, are we going to see some lifting and coasting? Are we going to see some super clipping and things like that? But yeah, I guess we'll see. All right. Oh, we still haven't got the data coming through, actually. That's a bit concerning, but hopefully... Oh, no, there we go. Okay, we're getting the data coming through in about 20 seconds here, folks. And we'll have the 2026 numbers up on the screen. We do have 6 rookies driving today. So Charles Leclerc, Sainz, Stroll, Lawson, Ocon and Bortoletto, they will be sat out of FP1. Meanwhile, a rookie will take their position to drive for the first free practice session. So... there you go. What are the percentage chances of Lewis winning the championship this year? Well, it's really, really early to make that prediction. You've had one good race basically out of Ferrari, and they've gone on and won it. So, the potential is there, but look, as I said at the Barcelona Grand Prix stream, Barcelona and Austria are two very different circuits, and the thing is, because they're two very different circuits, if you can do well at Barcelona and also at Austria, you pretty much encapsulate, I would say, 80% of the Formula One grid or Formula One calendar with those two circuits, in terms of like them covering all of the different types of corners and things like that. So if Lewis does well here, or if Leclerc does well here, then Ferrari do have a potential to fight for the championship ahead. But again, he's like 40 points back from Kimi Antonelli. There's a big way to go before we start talking about that. And of course, there's a long way of the season left to go as well, right? Turn 9 will probably be the biggest lift and coast. That is correct. That corner is typically where the drivers are doing, a bit of tap the brakes and then flick it right. But yeah, if they can super clip through there, they don't have to touch the brake pedal, the car will slow down, the battery will recharge, and then they can still make their way through the corner. So how high will the lap cars be? I saw Russell getting lapped in Monaco. Well, I guess if there's no safety cars, you could probably get to similar levels where you've got the top 8 cars not being on the lead lap, and then the top 8 cars being on the lead lap and everyone else being lapped. But it's pretty tough to say, really. And Monaco is a very different beast to Austria. Ferrari new engine FP3, yeah, I suspect it will be the new FP in FP3, because they just want to put as little mileage on it as possible. Because if this is their engine that makes the Ferrari championship dream alive, then ideally you put as little miles on it as possible, hence you don't have to take a grid penalty later on in the season. So even if, let's say, this engine turns to work out well for Ferrari, there's a very good chance that they will reserve it for only FP3 quali in the race, and FP1 and FP2 will on purpose be run with older engines. I mean, they typically always do that, but I think that they will reserve specifically the new engines, the upgraded engine, for the sessions that matter. All right. Hope you're all doing well, folks. We got 2,000 people tuned in. Much appreciated. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. I should probably pop that like target down a little bit lower, given that it is a free practice session. But yeah, it's been good fun chatting to you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm sure quite a lot of you guys are listening from in and around Europe, where it's getting pretty toasty, pretty warm. I know that in France the temperatures have gone over 40 degrees. Here in the UK, it's pretty hot as well. Hope you're all doing all right. We've got a few rookies driving today, folks. So that is going to be in 11th position there. We've got Dino Boganovic. He is the Ferrari sort of junior driver that takes free practice 1 sessions. So he'll be taking Charles Leclerc's car. We've got Jack Crawford, who's driving Lance Stroll's car in this free practice session. We've got Luke Browning driving Carlos Sainz's car. They're in 15th. We've got Ryo Hirakawa taking Ocon's car. They're in 16th position. And then in 21st position, we've got Ayumu Iwasa, who's taking Lawson's car. And we've got Paul Aaron, who's taking Bortoletto's car. They're in 22nd spot. Okay. How come FP1 isn't? FP1 is going to be broadcast on Service TV, folks. Service TV. So it's some weekends it's on ORF, and then some other weekends it's on Service TV. So it's one of the two, and it'll be broadcast there. Do you think any future generations of F1 is going to do a sub 1 minute lap time of the Austrian circuit? Potentially, right? It would. You'd have to have a car specifically designed for that, right? You could have cars that are really good in high-speed corners, but that's not specifically what Austria is about. Austria very much so is about the top speed department. So, we could be getting closer this year as well, because you've got these huge straight mode sections, all down the main straight, the second straight, the third straight, and then also on the exit of turn number 8 in towards turn number 9. So you've got these huge sections with straight mode, which means that the drivers will have quicker top speeds, and potentially we could get close. But again, The cars would have to be so oriented to top speed. I just don't think that's what Formula One is about. Formula One's much more about the cornering speed, so I think we will still stay above the 1 minute lap time threshold in Austria. What's his tyre strategy looking for this weekend, since there's a heat hazard as well? Oh, I suspect we will have a 2-stop, and that'll be nice and exciting. Of course, maybe it'll be a 3-stop, like Ferrari pulled it off last race in Barcelona. But as you can see there, air temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, track temperature 50 degrees Celsius, and, well, very, very likely to have a 2-stop circuit round here. 2-stop race round here, sorry. And also because of the heat warning, we are going to have hydration breaks every 5 laps. I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but every 5 laps the race is going to get paused. We're going to have a hydration break, and then we're going to go racing again. No, I'm joking, of course, but yeah, that's just. I'm sure a lot of you have been watching the World Cup, where they've been having hydration breaks at a circuit at a stadium where it's not that hot whatsoever. But that's just FIFA for you. Will they introduce a stop for VAR? Well, I mean, we've already got the race control, so I guess that's close enough to VAR, isn't it? Do you think any future generations of car can surpass the W11 level of performance? Oh yeah, probably. It'll depend on where they take the sport with the regulations and things like that. Because typically the more downforce a car has got, the more dirty air you've got. It's sort of just a given of aerodynamics, really, that you will have more turbulent air behind. And if Formula One wants better racing, it is a bit more optimal to have less downforce. So it's tough to say. No hydration break for Kimi, of course. Yeah, no drink for Kimi Räikkönen. Where's Charles Leclerc? Charles Leclerc will be back in FP2, folks. He is not driving for free practice 1 because we have got a rookie driving in his position. As per the FIA regulations, the drivers have to give up their seat in FP1 for, I think it's either 2 or 3 weekends of the year, to let rookies drive. I'm guessing only turns 6 will be high, 6 and 7 will be high tyre wear, so even the heat. I mean, potentially, right? It's not so much the lateral loads that are the issue here in Austria. It is very much the rear tyres that are a problem, because you have got lots of acceleration from low speed out into high speed. So you've got turn number 1 where you're coming out of 4th gear, you're sliding a bit of the rear of the car as you go over the curbs. Turn number 3, you're going from 2nd gear, maybe even 1st gear on the exit of that corner, back up to full speed. Same thing for turns number 4, and that is where your rear tyres really start to struggle. And then the other thing is the curbs are quite violent around here, so that also partially damages the tyres a little bit. But the rear tyres very much a limiting factor, and you do get a lot of issues for the drivers there with wheel spin and things like that. And especially when the temperatures are this high and this hot. Okay, upgrades for Mercedes this week. Mercedes have got a relatively small upgrade package. They, very, very minor sort of stuff. I think they've got a few more cooling things and maybe a brake duct that they've changed, but nothing all that significant for Mercedes here. Their main concern really coming into Austria will be the reliability. It is pretty hot in Austria today. Right now it's 29.4 degrees Celsius. The air temperature, track temperature is 50 degrees Celsius. So that temperature will pose a problem for the Mercedes cars and for the reliability of the Mercedes power units as a whole, really. Not just for Mercedes, but also for McLaren, also for Williams and Aston Martin. Oh, well, not Aston Martin, sorry. For Williams and Alpine. Right, let's get rid of this countdown timer. We've got free practice 1 getting underway very, very shortly, and you can see the drivers are restarting their engines and they'll be getting out onto the track soon enough. Alright, there you go, green light at the end of the pit lane, and we've got drivers making their way out onto the circuit. Fantastic. Okie dokes. thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you're doing all right. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It does help out the channel, of course. And we've got Dino Boganovic, Ayumu Oasa, is that Sergio Perez, Luke Browning, Jack Crawford, all making their way out onto the circuit. They'll be doing some install laps, making sure the cars have been reassembled properly when they came back from Barcelona. And, well, here goes FP1. Okay. Ferrari's not testing the upgraded engine in FP1. They'll be using it later on, I think. It's on Service TV, folks, today. Service TV is where you can watch the broadcast. I'll just pop up the spelling up on the screen. There you go. Service TV is where you can watch it. Okie dokes. Oh, let me just, it looks like the drivers are going off the track a little bit at the top of the map there. But yeah, everyone just coming out, making sure their cars are working all right, and then we'll be out and doing some proper running. Brilliant. Why is Ferrari not using the upgraded engine? Because they don't want to get too many miles on it. You know, same thing as your car, right? You can't just turn back the clock on the mileage that you've done. It depreciates the value of the car and makes it more likely to break down. And same thing for the Ferrari car, right? They don't want to put too many miles on the engine because it makes the chance of it breaking even higher. They've got their test engines that they've manufactured in the factory that they've ran for thousands and thousands of hours on the dyno to make sure that everything's working flawlessly. So they have some pretty good faith in designing engines, and they trust themselves to just use it in FP3. Can you put the method up on the screen? Oh yeah, it is Proton VPN, folks. If you wanna use that, using the link in the description, that's the channel sponsor, of course. Very much is appreciated for Proton sponsoring the channel. And to be honest, I was using their stuff before they emailed me, so I was quite pleased that they did email me, to be honest. Yeah. Alright, but we're getting lap times here, around the 1:12 mark. The track has got a bit of rubbering in to do. We also, of course, do have... Oh, we've got a yellow flag in the pit lane. I suspect someone will have stopped there, but... What was I going to say? Oh yeah, the track will be rubbering in, and we'll also be getting free practice. We'll also be getting Formula 2 and Formula 3 racing here this weekend, I think. Definitely Formula 3 at least. And yeah, if Formula 3 is here, Formula 2 should be here as well. So we will have a bit more running on the circuit to rubber in the racetrack and things like that. So not too much of a concern. That'll get done pretty quickly. Okie dokes. How is the track temperature? The track temperature is, 48, 49 degrees Celsius. Pretty hot. We have currently still got the 2 Red Bulls in the garage and Lando Norris as well. They have not come out as of yet. Red Bull with a very major upgrade package this weekend, folks. So they'll be looking to make sure that they can do this testing. And oh, is it Max with the anti-stall problem? All right. Yeah, so Max with anti-stall issues. again with this car by the looks of it, according to the chat at least, and that's probably what caused the yellow flag in the pit lane. But yes, they've got lots of aerodynamic upgrades, and that's what they'll be testing out to see if they work and if they increase the performance of the car, right? They will probably do some testing runs at exactly 100 kilometers per hour, compare it back to the numbers that they got in preseason testing. Has the downforce increased at 100 miles an hour or 100 kilometers per hour? And that'll be good to get. All right. Yeah. Well, the stream is not lagging from my side, folks. It is very much a YouTube thing. Seems like YouTube's servers are having a bit of a rough time this time of the day. But yeah, the broadcast is all good from my side. It'll probably be depending on whichever data center that you're using for your YouTube broadcast. Okay, but Kimi Antonelli here setting some nice sector times. Purple in sector number 1, and both Mercs at the top right now with 1 minute 10 lap times respectively. Ferrari sandbagging, yeah. Ferrari will be sandbagging, right? They have got a surprise engine upgrade that they're going to be bringing. Well, not a surprise engine upgrade. They've got an engine upgrade that they're going to be using in FP3, and yeah, they are under no illusion of what they're doing right now. They will be driving slowly on purpose, and then they'll put the new engine on in FP3, and then we'll see what they can do, really. But yes, Ferrari have brought an engine upgrade. For anyone that doesn't know, they have reportedly got about 5 horsepower out of the internal combustion engine itself, and about a 2 to 3 horsepower extra from the fuel. And you can ask, how do you get more horsepower from the fuel? Isn't fuel just the same fuel? And that is true to an extent, right? These Formula 1 cars do use petrol, they don't use diesel. So according to Ferrari, when they were sponsored by Shell, you could put Shell V-Power into the Ferrari car, a Ferrari Formula 1 car, by the way, and it would get approximately 95% of the horsepower as you typically would from the special race fuel. So it's quite similar to the typical fuel that we put into our cars right now. I'm sure it'll have absolutely no ethanol in it, but or maybe they will. I'm not sure if they change the regulations, but either way, point being is there are some special additives that you can add to the fuel to maybe reduce some friction in places, to just get extra energy out of the chemical bonds, and that's what they've done. They will be using the new fuel, I suspect, but because there's no detriment to using the new fuel, but there is of course a detriment to using the old engine, and the old engine. Oh, sorry. There's a detriment to using the new engine, which will be you're getting more mileage on it. Right. So there we go. Then we've got 10 minutes into the session right now, and we've got most drivers have set a lap time, but yeah, Verstappen's got an issue with his car, so I suspect what they're doing is making sure the issue doesn't happen on Hadjar's car. And I did see a note from someone in the chat that Lando Norris also has issues and will not be starting FP1 immediately. So more problems down there at McLaren. Lando Norris has had a pretty horrific reliability run, so that gearbox that the McLaren have got just hasn't been working out well for Lando Norris, so potentially they will work something out, but yeah, yet more reliability problems for the McLaren team. Okay, yeah. Let's have a look at the top speeds. So what are we getting in terms of top speeds? We can see here 318 kilometers per hour there for Antonelli, 317 for George Russell, and then the Alpines with the same, of course, Mercedes power unit doing 316s, Lindblad 314. So Austria is a very good low downforce track, right? The cars have very minimal levels of downforce on the car, and well, actually, this is the interesting thing, right, with these new regulations here in 2026. Because we've got straight mode for pretty much every straight on the circuit here in Austria, there is a chance that teams are actually running higher than normal levels of downforce in Austria, because the trade-off always was, if you ran more downforce in the corners, then you'd be slower down the straights. But because you've got now straight mode where you can drop your front wing and your rear wing, the teams can just afford to run higher levels of downforce through the corners, and they'll have quicker speeds down the straights. So there is a chance, of course, that we do get very close to last year's pole time. Typically at lots of other circuits, we have had issues where, we've been more than 4 or 5 seconds off, but this circuit might lend itself towards getting a whole lot closer to last year's pole time. I mean, look, we're just at the start of FP1 right now, and we're about 5 seconds off, so it's a pretty good start compared to a few of the other racetracks that we've been at. Well, it's good, F1 Gamer. Greetings from Adelaide. I'm on a holiday back at my hometown. Oh, well. I hope you're having a nice time. Have we spoken about the Tolosov-Lawson situation? I am unaware of the Lawson situation. I've seen a thing saying that Lawson will keep his seat till the end of the year, and I also saw that Lawson went on some other podcast. But apart from that, I haven't seen much about this situation that's going on. Where is Verstappen? Verstappen is still in the garage. He has got issues with his car, supposedly clutch or anti-stall problems, and that's why he's not out onto the racetrack. So Red Bull's still diagnosing some issues there. They'll be making sure Hadjar doesn't have the same issues. They don't want to replace the entire gearbox or replace the entire clutch. Quite the time-costly endeavour. It takes a lot of time to get that all sorted. So ideally, they want to prevent the issue before it becomes an issue. Okay. This whole season has so many car issues. Yeah, I mean, looking at, if you look back at the history of Formula One, I'd say from 2014 to 2025 was very much, or okay, maybe not 2014, maybe let's say 2017 onwards to 2025, we were in a very much a freak period where reliability was actually so good in Formula One compared to all of the other years, because we have had very much of an engine freeze, essentially. The teams essentially have been changing very, very little things with the engine, and everything else has just been the same. So that partially contributes to it. But, if you think about what Formula One essentially is, it's a little bit like prototype racing, essentially, where you've got the cutting edge of motorsport working to get as much horsepower out. So you'd expect these sort of issues, and that was very much true in the past, and we've had a really good run of reliability in the past, I'd say 10 years or so. Right. We have got 6 rookies driving today, folks, in FP1. So Leclerc, Sainz, Stroll, Lawson, Ocon, and Bortoletto will all be back in free practice 2. As of right now, they are currently in the garage while watching a rookie drive their car. Basically, Autosport leaked that Tolosov is guaranteed a seat in the V car in 2027, given that Lindblad is a baby, Lawson's out, which I personally think is unfair. Oh, I see. Well, I haven't actually seen. That's interesting. Actually, yeah, it's a bit tough really for Lawson, but it's sort of the Red Bull way, isn't it? Like you can do, sort of perfectly, or not even perfectly. You can do a reasonably good job, and I'd say Lawson first few years weren't amazing, but he has really stepped up his game, and he's doing pretty well, right, in the car that he has right now. Hasn't shown signs of being able to really step up to the number 1 car, no, sorry, the number one team, but I'm sure he'd be a good Formula One driver, but that's just not what Red Bull is looking for. They're looking for the next Max Verstappen, essentially. And if you're not the next Max Verstappen, then you can find yourselves in Formula One for 2 years and then say bye-bye, see you later, and you're out the door. So, if Lawson was to leave, there will be potentially opportunities elsewhere for a reserve driver seat or potentially a seat in 2027, depending on how the driver transfers work and things like that. But we're very much entering silly season now, halfway through the season. Well, we're approaching that point at least, and the rumour mill will start churning harder and harder. So who knows what happens. You can't stay at Racing Bulls forever. It's the purpose to test rookies out for Red Bull. Yeah, essentially that's what it is, isn't it? The story has been debunked. Oh, has it? Oh, well, yeah. That proves my point about the rumor mill. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that story, but I'm also very much not surprised that it's either fake or it's just been a rumor that's been spread about. So yeah, that's what I'd say about the rumor season starting. I'm pretty sure there were rumors, I think back in 2016, that Bottas was going to join Ferrari and Kimi Raikkonen was going to leave or something. Yeah, so I wouldn't take your word for it, really. Why is Lewis Hamilton still in the garage? Well, they did 4 laps out on the circuit. They probably want to change some things with the car, so it's standard free practice stuff. They've got 3 hours this weekend at a racetrack that is relatively straightforward. The setup shouldn't be all that complicated, and hence Ferrari, while they've brought engine upgrades, they have also brought extra upgrades to their car. So potentially, adding a few more sensors to get some more accurate information, getting rid of some sensors to get rid of some weight. There's a lot of things that they could be doing right now in the garage. All right. What else is going on? Red Bull is so over with the Red Bull 22 here. Even after all the upgrades, they can't solve the anti-stall issue. At this point in time, the issue isn't even the weight of the team. The session's over for him. Yeah, I mean, look, the Red Bull, they have a wealth of data to use here. And in fact, Verstappen's, you can't see it up on the screen there for you, but on my data broadcast, I can see here that Verstappen has shifted out in neutral into first gear, and he's also pressing on the throttle about 10%. So he might, there you go, he's out of the pit lane. So, yeah, so it's not so over because Verstappen's just made his way out on a set of soft tyres as well. Is it legal to post F1 clips on Instagram? Unfortunately not. Yeah. Lindblad and Hulk have the exact same time, do they? Let's see, Lindblad. Oh yeah, both drivers with a 1 minute 10.425. Fantastic. 3rd and 4th position for them as well. Why is Lando not out? Because he's got issues with his car, and same thing can be said for Hadjar. So they are checking those, sorting the issues out, and then they'll be making their way out onto the circuit. Since there's no DRS, are DRS zones still called DRS zones? Well, if you watch this stream, I will still call them DRS zones from time to time because I'm not fully acclimatized to the straight mode lingo. Yeah, I'm sure that there have been times where I've called the Racing Bulls the AlphaTauri team. Yeah. I mean, in fact, I met someone that was working for the Red Bull team, or for the Racing Bulls team, sorry, and I was like, "Oh, so how's working for AlphaTauri?" So that was, yeah. But the people in the team know about it. And also nobody really cares all that much. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if I say DRS zone or straight mode. Either way. All right, Kimi Antonelli pushing nice and hard. 10 laps old, but lap time still tumbling, and that is 10 lap old tyres. But yeah, that's part in due to the weight of the fuel getting burnt off, and that's also partly due to the track rubbering in. All right. Is the Ferrari engine upgraded? It is upgraded. However, according to a few people, they are not using the upgraded engine right now in Free Practice 1. They're going to save it for FP3. I still call them Toro Rosso sometimes. Yeah, I mean, what did Kimi Raikkonen called? I think Kimi Raikkonen called an Alfa Romeo, the Alfa Romeo car, a Sauber. Or he called the Kick Sauber car. I can't remember now, but there was definitely one occasion where not just one occasion, but there's been quite a few occasions where over the team radios, the teams will just use the old names. Do you think the hotter tracks are favouring Ferrari? To an extent, because Mercedes have had more issues at hot circuits. So I guess the team that they're going up against is Ferrari. So yeah, I'd say the hotter tracks are helping Ferrari out. Their reliability issues they haven't really had that many, and their performance in hot conditions isn't really that bad. Their tyre wear isn't hugely bad either, and if your tyre wear is bad, you can always just go for a 3-stop strategy, which they pulled off in Barcelona. I've got to say that was a good strategy call there from Ferrari. All right, yeah, Max Verstappen up there into third position, so that is a 1:09.043, about 4 seconds off last year's pole time. Yeah, no, 5 seconds, sorry. And set us off for him to start out FP1. F1 Gamer making the cars 3 or 4 seconds slower kills the whole idea of Formula 1. It should be left to the drivers to handle the speed. Potentially, but Formula 1 has always after every regulation change, pretty much the cars have got slower, and then that is the whole thing of Formula 1, right? It's a development arms race to see who can use the most advanced technology and everything on the bleeding edge of research and things like that to make the cars faster. So these teams have huge supercomputers where they're running their simulations for the aerodynamics of the car. They've got simulations and calculations for trying to make the structural elements as light as possible. They've got the drivers doing countless laps in the simulator. So it's still the spirit of Formula 1 because the cars are being allowed to speed up, And I'm sure in a few years' time, the cars will reach the previous lap time seen. Did you see the story on the official Mercedes where Kimi said that in 2024 in Austria it was one day plus 26 degrees and the other day it was snowing? No, I haven't seen that. Plus 26 and snowing, that seems a bit unlikely, no? I guess it depends on where you are in Austria, because I know that Austria's, of course, got the Alps in it, so it could be pretty high up. Speeds don't matter as long as the racing is good. Yeah, as long as Formula One cars remain the quickest cars in motorsport through the corners, and the racing is good, then yeah, it remains Formula One. I think everyone themselves has their own sort of perspective on what is the spirit of Formula One and what should be the case. You speak to some other people, and we cannot have hybrids whatsoever. It's only internal combustion engines is what Formula One's all about. You speak to other people and they're fine with the 50-50 split. So everyone has their own opinion, really. All right. So 25 minutes into FP1 right now, we have got the top three being Kimi Antonelli, George Russell, and Max Verstappen in P3 there with a set of soft tyres. We have still yet to have Lando Norris and Isaac Hadjar come out onto the circuit. We've got 6 rookies out on the track, 3 of them currently bottom of the drivers that have actually set lap times. That's Ryo Hirakawa in 18th, Ayumu Iwasa in 19th, and Luke Browning in 20th. In fact, Hirakawa just pops himself up into 16th there, and Crawford there in 17th position, just ahead of Fernando Alonso. And then you've got Paul Aron driving the Audi in 13th position there, and Dino Beganovic doing a great job at being ahead of Lewis Hamilton by 1/10 of a second. We have also been getting some lap time deletions here, so as I did say, and in fact I'll take you through a lap of the circuit shortly, but Austria is one of the worst offenders for where you do get drivers exceeding track limits. So that will be a concern for qualifying, of course. That will also be a concern for the race. We have seen a few penalties being handed out to drivers for exceeding track limits too many times. So we've got Luke Browning here exceeding track limits at turn number 3. Same thing for Fernando Alonso at turn number 3. But I suspect these are... Oh no, these are slow laps. The drivers are going wide on the exit turn number 3 to make sure that they aren't affecting the drivers behind them, so that's fair enough. But we do have Kimi Antonelli getting a lap time deleted for exceeding track limits at turn number 1. Again, probably a bit of a slow lap, but yes, I will just... and in fact, Luke Browning does have a proper lap time deleted at turn number 3 as well, so I will quickly just show you a lap of the circuit. So let's pop this over here for now. Right. Yeah, let's ignore that little spin there. All right, so you make your way through the final corner here. It's quite the sort of, well, simple circuit. You've only really got, I think, 6 real corners, but you make your way down the start-finish straight here. You've got straight mode, and of course, getting a slipstream is what, you know, getting a slipstream here in Austria can be make or break for your qualifying lap. So the drivers will be doing their best to get a slipstream on the exit there of turn number 1. So let's just rewind a little bit. So you can go over that sausage curb on the entry to turn number 1. That's all right, but if you do go wide, then track limits will be, you will get your lap time deleted. And the other thing is, you will see a few drivers go wide during their slow laps because they don't want to hold up the drivers behind them. So either they can pull off to the right side or they can pull off to the left, and it's up to the driver really what they do there. Then you make your way down this big straight, very uphill actually, this bit, but you can't really see it from this camera angle. You then pop onto the brakes at about the 100-meter mark, where again, very easy to go wide there, especially when you're trying to get on the throttle as early as possible. The car wants to, of course, just drift out to the left, but you've got to keep it under control there. Turn number 4, big braking downhill, so you've got to brake a little bit earlier of the 100-meter mark just to make sure you can actually stop in time. Again, you can't really exceed track limits on the exit turn number 4 there because there is just grass and gravel. We have seen a few drivers go lawn mowing here actually in the past because, well, they totally just misjudged their speed and have to, well, abort it essentially. They can't do much else. And then these are the final 2 corners. Very easy to exceed track limits here. In fact, I think it was 2020 Austria, the first race that we had in Austria. It was raining here, and in quali we had there was one quali session where we had more than, I think, 10 lap times deleted because the drivers kept going wide at the final corner, and it was quite the big issue. So final 2 corners are pretty problematic for track limits, let's put it that way. Okie dokes. Le Mans cars are now faster than Formula 1, which is killing Formula 1. It should be left to the driver to handle the max speed. I mean, Formula 1 cars will become faster than Le Mans again, and Le Mans can change their regulations as well. It's not necessarily a thing, right? They could change their hypercar regulations. Hello Fungaver, how are you doing? Job market doing great for you? Because AI sucks. Well, I quite luckily I've got a job lined up in September, so I've finished university. I'm back at home now, and got about 2.5 months of a nice holiday. So I'm just enjoying sitting at home really, and not doing too much. Yeah. Any Mercedes upgrades? Very, very minor stuff in Mercedes. It's not been any major upgrades for them this weekend. I think a little change to their front brake duct and something at the rear of the car, but too minor to really make a significant difference. All right, Antonelli continuing to push the envelope here. Fresh set of soft tyres here, purple first sector, purple second sector, and he's looking really, really good. So let's see what can he do as he comes out of the final corner. He comes across the line now, does Kimi Antonelli at a speed of 280 kilometers per hour, and it's purple in all three sectors for a lap time of 1 minute 7.7. So that is 4 tenths, just under 4 seconds, slower than last year's pole time. And here comes George Russell. He's slower in the first sector by about a tenth, slower in the second sector by also about a tenth. And let's see, can he bring it back in the third sector, or will he just be slower than Antonelli? He can bring it back a little bit in the final sector, but not enough, and he's overall 1 tenth down, on his teammate. So he was 1 tenth quicker in the first sector, 1 tenth slower in the first sector, 1 tenth slower in the middle sector, and then 1 tenth quicker in the final sector. So averages out about a 1 tenth slower. Okie dokes. You got a big gap there to Max, though, of course, but Max's lap was his first lap out on the circuit, so that was with relatively cold tyres, his car not set up properly and things like that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that big gap between Antonelli and Verstappen right now. After all, it is free practice. How close do you think the Austrian pole lap will be close to last year's time? I think we will get into the 1 minute 6s, low 1 minute 6s, maybe high 1 minute 5s. Yeah. So about, 1 second, 2 seconds slower. I want to believe Kimi has the edge on Russell due to his weight. Well, that is I guess that's a bit of a misconception. They changed the rules a while ago. So what they have done is the driver plus seat has to weigh a certain amount of weight. I can't remember what it is exactly right now. I think it's 80 kilograms. So let's say you are, you're Kimi Antonelli and you're short and you weigh, let's say 70 kilograms, then, or 60 kilograms, whatever it is, you have an extra 20 kilograms of ballast added onto the bottom of your seat to ensure that your seat plus driver combination adds up to 80. And then if you're George Russell and you're a little bit taller and you weigh a bit more, then you only have 5 kilograms added on, or whatever it is. So it's 82 kilograms. All right, perfect. So there you go. So that's what that's how they ensure that a lighter driver isn't helping out significantly in terms of lap time. This wasn't the case in the past. So, I can say, was it maybe pre 2020? This rule was introduced, I think 2020 or around about that time, I think. So before that, the drivers will do, as much as they possibly can to actually reduce weight, but also maintain fitness to be able to drive the car. There's an extent, right? You can't just get super slim and everything, because you still have to have the physical capability to muscle a Formula 1 car around the circuit for 2 hours. So, there are stories. I think Nico Rosberg said that he would reduce the paint on his helmet. So if there wasn't a sponsor sticker on his helmet, everywhere else would just be the pure carbon fiber that the helmet's made out of, because it would shave, 100 grams off his helmet and hence make him go, that little bit quicker. So it is, it was interesting in the past, but they've changed the regulations now. So it's 82 kilograms for driver plus seat plus ballast. Wait, so if I'm fat, I can't drive a Formula 1 car? Well, depending on how fat you are, you probably won't be able to get in, right? Quite notably, Daniel Ricciardo's hips were too wide to get into the Red Bull racing car. They've had issues in the past, I think. The taller Formula 1 drivers have had issues just getting into the cars because they were designed for a shorter person. Then, and then if you're over 80 kilograms, there's no if you can still fit in the car and you're over 80 kilograms, it's not a problem. It's just that you're not at the minimum weight limit, so the team just won't be too pleased about it. Right. Bottas talked about the weight thing, it was not healthy. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, right? Like, these drivers will do absolutely everything to increase performance. And look, I think the stat that's been thrown around also a bit is, if you can knock a kilogram or 2 kilograms off the car, you can gain about a tenth of a second. I can't remember, but it's something on that order of magnitude, right? So what's easier? You've got thousands of components in the car. Is it easier to just get rid of weight from all of those components, or is it easier just to tell the driver to go on a bit of a diet? And you would get into these cycles, and it's a tough one. Why does Max keep pitting? Oh, we got Lindblad there up into third position. Very nice. Why does Max keep pitting? Because he's not chasing after quick lap times right now. Yeah. If you look at his theoretical best, it's quicker than what Lindblad has set, but it's still quite a ways off everyone else because they're just not pushing the car as hard. Mercedes, of course, maybe they want to test their reliability of the cars. Maybe they've made some tweaks to their engine to help the reliability situation. It's tough to say, but we know historically in the past they haven't been so good in these hotter conditions. So maybe they're stress testing their engines. And George Russell, purple in the final sector, 2/10 up on Antonelli's quickest final sector, actually. And he's got a lot of pace there. F1 Gamer George revealed earlier this year that he's 79 to 80 kilograms and Kimi is 61. So Kimi's seat weighs 21 kg, whereas his only weighs 3-ish. Yeah, so there you go. It's they do their best to ensure the drivers can stay fit and healthy while driving around these cars. Hadjar's finally on the track. Yep, that's good to see. So whatever issue that they had with Hadjar's car has now been resolved, and Hadjar is doing a few more laps, and Lando Norris still in the pit lane. So more issues there for Lando Norris. He has not completed a single lap of the circuit, and we've got Wasser who's completed 9 laps, and yeah, so Wasser's also had a few problems as well, actually. Why Ferrari so slow? Well, they probably saw all the messages where we were calling them free practice world champions because they always do so well in free practice. So they've decided to do a bit of sandbagging right now. Yeah, that's probably why. And also, FP1 isn't as representative as FP2. FP2, of course, will be at the start of FP2 will be at the same time as the end of Q3 tomorrow for qualifying. So that is the most representative a session can be. And hence, there's much more chance that the teams will be pushing harder in FP2 and will be getting some more reasonable lap times, or lap times that are closer to what we'll see during quali in the race. Yeah. Lando's garage is working on a hydraulic leak. Well, there you go, folks. Hydraulic issues for Lando Norris. When is FP2? It says there at the top right of the screen. In about 2 hours and 20 minutes time, we will have the start of FP2. Mercedes is pushing to test out the car. They went 320, while Ferrari's only getting 300 with Lewis. Well, there you go, folks. You can look at the numbers, and you can see that Mercedes are top of the speed trap times there, I think. There you go, 322 kilometers per hour from George Russell, 318 from Kimi Antonelli. Colapinto also with the Mercedes power unit there in third and fourth with the Alpine car. And then you wait for the Ferrari power units to show up on the screen, and you got Behrman there with 308, Dino Beganovic with 304, and Cadillac and Haas, and then you get Lewis all the way down then 17th position with 301. So you've got an 18 kilometer per hour difference, or upwards of 18 kilometers per hour difference in top speed. So it's very clear to see what's going on there. Some teams are deploying the power, some teams are not. We have, however, got more drivers coming out on soft tyres now. So Maybe we'll get some quicker lap times there. Lewis Hamilton emerges from the pit lane with a fresh set of softs to drive around the circuit with. Is Lando just not going out for FP1? Well, look, if they can fix the hydraulic issue in the next 5 minutes, then yeah, probably he will go out. But that hydraulic issue is taking a long time to get sorted, really. Lando's been great this season when his car doesn't break. Yeah, I mean, you know, you could say the McLaren's a bit like a glass cannon, in the way that, you know, it's very quick. Well, it's reasonably quick compared to the rest of the field. They could potentially, you know, on a good day challenge the top two, but their reliability issues have been terrible, really. Pretty similar to Kimi Räikkönen when he was driving for them back in the day in 2000 and I can't even remember now. But yeah, back in the 2000s when Kimi Räikkönen had that McLaren that would always break down. Yeah, welcome back to the 2000 McLaren reliability. Yeah, it would, you know, the temperature would just rise and there'd be smoke coming out the car whenever Kimi Räikkönen was leading a race back in the early 2000s. So, 2003. All right. Cheers, folks. All right, we've got a few more lap times deleted here. So for drivers, you know, just exceeding track limits while they're pushing. So you've got Iwasa there exceeding track limits, Fernando Alonso, Luke Browning. Yeah, lots of drivers getting caught up here in the track limit situation. Yeah, Arvin Lindblad doing a great job there. He's you know, ahead of Max Verstappen, but again, at the end of the day, it's FP1, so I wouldn't get too carried away. Lando's in the car and the sideboard covers are going back on. Fantastic. Well, there you go. Lando Norris will be making his way out, I suspect, for the final 10, 15 minutes or so of the session. Ferrari testing, new engine testing in FP3, that is correct. But the thing is, right, engine testing is very different to all of the other forms of testing that you get in Formula 1, right? All of the aerodynamic testing you've got to test in the real world and at a racetrack, but or in a wind tunnel, right? Whereas for an engine, you can just run it on the dyno. They maybe have limited dyno hours, but it's a very high number of hours that they can put on the dyno, especially this year because we've got new engine regulations. So Ferrari will have been running this engine pretty much non-stop for a large number of hours to make sure that it works properly. So that's why they're confident to skip it out on FP1 and FP2. Hamilton does pot himself up into third position there. He's about 7/10 back from Antonelli and Russell, who did set their laps a little bit earlier on, with the temperature and the track conditions being slightly worse. McLaren should consider a grid penalty at this point. A reliable battery pack sounds like a better deal. Well, look, they have had issues with the battery pack earlier on in the season, and right now they've had quite a few gearbox issues. They've got a hydraulic issue with Lando Norris right now, so I think all elements of the McLaren car have been struggling with the reliability. I think they've got on top of the battery problems now, but yeah, the gearbox and hydraulics yet to be fixed. $38 tomorrow in Austria, is it? When I checked the forecast, it said 32. But you know, we're in Spielberg, right? So that's where this racetrack is, and I guess depending on where you look, it's gonna, yeah, it'll probably be 30. It's definitely 30 plus. Let's put it that way. What was the yellow flag shown for a few seconds? I suspect it would have just been debris or something like that either got cleared up very fast. Yeah. Or just marshals that are getting a bit bored. Can Red Bull come back for the championship race? I mean, look, they're a little bit far back, so they're going to have some monumental performance leaps forward for that to happen, to be honest. If we do look at the Constructors' Championship right now, so we've got Mercedes, of course, at the top of the Constructors. And then we've got Ferrari with 190 points, so they're about 70 points back from Mercedes. We've got McLaren there in third, 141 points. And then you've got Red Bull Racing in fourth with 90 points. So that's approximately 4 times less points than Mercedes. So, yeah, looks unlikely to say the least. Okay, so we've got 7,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And this is actually the two years of me now commentating Free Practice 1. I think my first Free Practice 1 session that I commentated was Austria in 2024. So it's been pretty good actually. I didn't start commentating FP1 until then because I just thought it was like, what's really the point? But it's good to have a chat, really. Bit of a podcast session. I could probably stick this up on Spotify as well as a bit of a podcast because there's not been a huge amount of talk really about what's been actually going on the racetrack because, well, the teams are doing their thing, right? They've brought upgrades. They want to gather the data. Oscar Piastri puts himself up into third position there, 107.913, and he's only a 10th back from Antonelli and Russell. So the McLaren, as I said, a bit of a glass cannon, right? If they can actually keep the car going till the end of the race, then they have some pretty good potential. Will I stream FP2, FP3? Yes, I will. I'll be live for those as well. You don't look a day older, Larry. Yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully I haven't aged too much in 2 years' time. All right, Lando Norris has also left the garage. So there you go, folks. Lando Norris has left the garage and he will be, looking to complete some laps and hopefully his car doesn't break down. Okie dokes. Also, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Hopefully we can make our way towards 1,000 likes or so. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed as well, we're getting all very much closer to the special 250k. And then I'll probably get rid of the subscriber target off the screen, to be honest. I think 250k is more than sufficient. Yeah. Did Lando's car break down again? Well, it was broken down for the first 45 minutes of the session. Hydraulic problems for him, and they got it fixed now, so he's out and driving. Verstappen wasting another set of softs, is he? Well, no, he's come out on a set of softs. Let's see, right? He's just started his come out the final corner. His foot is flat to the floor as he comes across the line at just about 270k. And now heading up the hill towards turn number 1. Late on the brakes is Max Verstappen. And yeah, looks like he's on a push lap. And in fact, a little purple mini sector there to go with it. Damn, I forgot you haven't revealed your face till mid-2025. Yeah, it was Singapore 2025 I did it, so it's really not been all that long. Why does Cadillac have a yellow icon even though their cars are black and white? Because Cadillac have yellow cars in Le Mans, and I can't use black because it would just blend in too much and it wouldn't be visible properly on the screen. So, yeah, that's why it's yellow. Are Ferrari reaching the "we are so back" phase? Well, they're slowly approaching there right now. Hamilton improves again on his lap time, right? So his first run was good on softs, and then he set another improvement on the second run. We've got Lando Norris coming across the line immediately up into 11th position, so nicely done there from him. Verstappen up into 4th there, so on his run, first lap out of the pits, he improves, and he's 3/10 back from the Mercedes cars. So good step forward there in terms of performance there from Max Verstappen. And look, there's still more lap time to be found. Austria right now, very hot circuit, so the drivers could get away with a 1-lap warm-up, but there is potential, right? If the warm-up procedure isn't optimal, even if you're losing 2%, 1% of grip levels, you can, because it is such a short circuit, you can do 2 warm-up laps that might help you, and that could, allow you to essentially go even faster. We'll see. What does the blue mean in the mini sectors? The blue means the drivers are driving in the pit lane. So if it's in sector 1, that means they're driving out of the pit lane, like Alex Albon is, for example, and blue at the end of sector 3, that means the drivers are in the pits. I heard the Russell 1+1 contract is based on performance. Does Mercedes abide by the contract if he does not meet the conditions, or can they buy him out to create space? Well, I suspect there'll also be a clause in the contract to buy him out. Again, we do not know what these documents look like or how they're created or any of the terms, to be honest. Like, if there's not a sample driver document that has to be signed. So it's all up to George Russell and his negotiation skills with his PowerPoints and things like that. So I'm sure Russell will have negotiated a decent deal for himself. After all, he does want to stay in Formula One. He's definitely got the talent to do so. Aston Martin 4 to 5 seconds off the pace is diabolical. Well, yeah, Alonso's 3.5 seconds off the pace. Jack Crawford is a ways behind, but Jack Crawford has also been running only on hard tyres, I think, for the most of the session. And also Jack Crawford's a rookie, so... Is Hadjar even in practice, or are they just using his testing for Max? Well, look, the teams have brought a big upgrade package here, right? So they have brought, I think, upwards of eight or nine parts that they've brought to the car to make it quicker. So they want to test the car out in a large variety of different conditions. And the best way to do that is to have Max Verstappen do one run plan and Isaac Hadjar do a different run plan. And that's just how it works, right? The teams they don't need double sets of data for everything. They just want to check that things are working as expected. So in that situation, you've got Hadjar doing a different run plan and Max Verstappen doing a different one. So, Verstappen probably finished his and now he's out doing quick laps on softs, and Hadjar also is now on some soft tyres. So potentially we'll get some quick laps from him as well. Russell averaging 4/10 faster than Ante in race runs, although Kimi has tyres 3 laps older. Yes, well, look there on the previous lap, Russell quicker by about a tenth or so. So it varies, of course. But yeah, the teams will be doing their race runs, of course, to see what they can do. So 111.9, but they could also be on different fuel loads, right? They could be simulating different strategies, maybe. It's Cadillac has brought a big upgrade package to Austria. That is correct. We've got huge upgrades for Cadillac, for Audi, for Alpine, for Ferrari, and for Red Bull. So 5 teams out of the 11 that have brought some very big upgrades this weekend, which is always great to see. And we'll see if that shakes up the performance, field. And Aston Martin still with nothing, by the way. So Aston Martin are bringing one huge upgrade package, either after the mid-season break or before it. It would make sense to do it, I don't know, it's tough to say actually. Maybe they do it before. Yeah, I think they'll probably do it before the August break. So that would probably mean doing it in Hungary if I check my calendar. Let me have a look. But yeah, Aston Martin at the start of the season just said that they are not going to do any minor upgrades. It's going to be just a full 1 second, 2 seconds faster upgrade package that they'll probably bring halfway through the season. So that's probably coming either in Hungary, which is at the end of the month on the 26th of July. That's the Hungarian Grand Prix. Or it comes in August at the Dutch Grand Prix. Any idea where I can see the list of all these upgrades? If you search FIA car presentation submission Austria into Google, it should come up with the document list. The FIA do release all these documents on their website, so it should be relatively easy to find. It's called car presentation submission or something like that. Yeah. Did I change room? I did. I'm back at home. So before, in all of the other streams, I was at university. So now I'm back at home. Yeah. But soon enough, I'll be back again in a different city to start work. Yeah. From the reports, Ferrari seem to be running a detuned engine, lower engine settings, as their apex speed is massively slow in turn 4 and turn 9, which might indicate potential sandbagging. Yeah. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Given they're about 0.6 off the pace. Quickly, just to go over the rookies that we've got driving right now, we have got Dino Boganovic there in 9th position with Ferrari. We have got Ayumu Iwasa in 15th with Racing Bulls. Paul Aaron in 17th with Audi. Luke Browning in 18th with Williams. Ryo Hirokara driving the Haas in 19th, and we've got Jack Crawford in 22nd with the Aston Martin. Yeah. Did I study engineering? Yes, I finished my mechanical engineering. Yeah. But everyone else now doing race runs by the looks of it. You can see the top 3 there are all out on tyres that are more than 15 laps old. Max is currently still out on a fresh set, so maybe he'll be doing something different and attempting to go even faster with about 5 minutes left on the clock. We've got Hamilton also doing some race runs. Lando Norris out on a fresh set of softs. He's of course had a bit of a short session, not many laps completed under his belt, but he's still going to try and set a quick one here. He's about half a tenth slower than Piastri in sector number 1, which is pretty good. However, considering sector number 1 is literally just the first corner, you have to notice that, right? You come down the start finish straight, you go through turn number 1, and then you flat out all over again. So the first sector is literally just an indication of how good you were through turn number 1. And Lando Norris about half a tenth down on Piastri in the first sector. In the second sector, he is looking pretty all right with a 31.040, but then he backs out of it as he exited. Yeah, as he entered sector number 3, I think. Yeah. As a reminder, you can block some. Yeah, folks. Like, I will obviously ban some people that are spamming and things like that, but if there's someone that you don't want to read your chat message, you don't want to see their chat message, you can just block them and they don't pop up on the screen. So yeah. Will I stream FP2? Indeed I will. In fact, the FP2 broadcast will I'll just pop it up onto the channel page right now. I'll pop a link in the chat as well. So that's the link to the FP2 stream. How to watch with a VPN, folks. If you do want to watch the coverage with a VPN, it's Service TV is where you can watch the broadcast. And what you do is you get the $1 link in the description for Proton VPN. You join an Austrian VPN server, and then you can watch Service TV. This doesn't only work for the Austrian race; it works for all of the races and all of the for the entire season. So, yeah. Okay, so 2 minutes 44 left on the clock. We've got the 2 Mercs in the pits right now. They'll probably come out with a set of softs just to do their grid start practice so they can get some accurate clutch data for the start of the race. Then you've got Max Verstappen here on a bit of a push lap with those old softs, but he's not going anywhere near as quick as he was before. So soft tyres are wearing out pretty quickly, and that is to be expected. Track temperature is up at 51 degrees Celsius, so it's no surprise that the tyres are wearing out fast, and you can only really get 1 or 2 good laps out of them. And then we've got Lewis Hamilton there in 5th position with the Ferrari team that is running a supposedly detuned engine. They're slower down the straights. You can see there at the top of the speed traps, you've got the 2 Mercs, then the 2 Alpines. Further down you go, then you get the Ferrari-powered cars, and I think way down at the bottom you have Lewis Hamilton in the speed traps. So that is another thing to consider. You can see that Hamilton there is Dino Boganovic is there in 17th and Hamilton 18th, slowest in the speed traps, 304 km per hour. Same thing for Max Verstappen though, right? Max Verstappen, who is supposedly, we've got a yellow flag there. Someone stopped. That's Hirokara that stopped, but then he's continued on going. So potential issue there for Haas, not 100% sure, but looks like he's making his way back to the pit slowly enough. Why are Ferrari running a detuned engine? Because they can. They want to. Oh no, sorry, that's not Ryo Hirokara. Apologies, folks. It is Sergio Perez. Red flag at the end of the session. Sergio Perez stops at turn number 3, and Cadillac issue. They had a big round of upgrades this weekend. Nothing related to the engine, but big round of upgrades for the aerodynamics and the chassis and all of those things. And unfortunately, Sergio Perez has had a good run in FP1, but at the end of it does have an issue and stops at the side of the circuit. So suboptimal there, and well, that is a Ferrari power unit at the end of the day, right? A Ferrari power unit which needs to have some good reliability, and that's why Ferrari are running their power unit detuned, right? They don't want to take the risk of potentially DNFing, potentially losing some running time on the circuit, and for that reason, they will they're turn down the horsepower on the engine. Oh wait, is he in the wall? How's he got into the wall when it's the straight part of the circuit? Unless his brakes broke or something. Give me a sec. Because my broadcaster's just switched off. Well, yes, if someone could just let me know in the chat actually what's happened to Sergio Perez, that'd be great. Oh, brake issue. Brake issue. Game's gone. So it looks like it's not a Ferrari power unit problem. It's a brake issue. Oh, he stopped on the circuit. Right, okay. Well, there you go. Brake problem for Sergio Perez. Probably not the best place to have a brake problem because, at that point of the circuit, you're going about 300 miles an hour. But, sorry, not 300 miles an hour, 300 kilometers per hour. But, yeah, he stops at the side of the track and car's turned off and he'll be, must be Brembo, must be the brakes. And there you go then, folks. So that's the end of FP1. Much appreciated everyone for tuning in, and I'll be back for FP2. So there's a link you can see there, the pinned link in the stream is for the FP2 stream. Once this broadcast ends, it'll take you over to FP2 anyway. But it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. If you could hit the reminder button and the like button for the FP2 stream, that'd be great. It just helps the algorithm out, and I'm sure you'll get a notification anyway about when the broadcast starts. But yeah, I'll see you in about 2 hours time for the start of FP2. Yeah. Will I continue the broadcast when I get my job in September? I will try to. It's not 100% certain, of course, on Fridays if I'll still be able to do FP1 and FP2. But on Saturday and Sunday for sure, I'll be there and I'll be commentating quali, the race, and FP3. So yeah. All right. So I'll see you in 2 hours time or so for the start of free practice 2, and look forward to seeing you there, folks. Oh yeah, in 2 hours time the stream starts. In 2.5 hours the FP2 itself starts. But yeah, see you later, folks. Bye bye.